A sexy thriller involving a narcissist and a couple old flames. Let's talk about Sapiosexual. Hey everyone, this is David Stark from Watch or Pass, and I'm here to talk about Sapiosexual, which is coming to digital on May 16, 2023. It is a new indie thriller that explores attraction and some of the kind of consequences that can happen because of that. And my hot take is, look, I think you should probably actually pass on this. I like that it took some bold stances and explored some kind of dark subject matter, but I just don't think kind of the execution really hit for me. There were some audio issues, there were some story issues for me, and overall I felt like this could have been a more complex film. So overall, I think you should pass on it, but I'm going to tell you a little bit more about the film, a few things I liked, a few things I didn't like, and then go into the ending. So as you can imagine, there will be spoilers in the ending section. If you don't want to know what happens in this movie, I would turn it off when I get to the ending section, but don't worry, before that, I'll keep it vague and I will let you know when those spoilers happen. So in Sapiosexual, you have a couple, Hannah and Liam, who have had a little bit of a relationship for a few years, and they kind of start to have some problems, it seems like, and they decide to break it off. Liam is still married to his first wife. Liam was an old fling for Hannah. They rekindled their relationship years later, but then it just is not working for some reason. So they decide to kind of have an uncoupling ceremony. So they have a dinner party. They invite someone else that Liam knows for this kind of uncoupling party. But that leads to some other issues and revelations throughout the night. So things I liked about this movie. The first, I like that it had some bold aspects. I like that it had kind of a, I don't know, more modern feel for relationships. I like that it kind of expressed some viewpoints that had some non-traditional relationships in there. I thought it was an interesting kind of take on it. I did like that it kind of tried to explore those subjects and explore things. I don't know, maybe that would be considered more taboo, but it's not really that crazy taboo. But I like that it really kind of tried to explore some of these bold subject matters. And I also like that it explored trauma. A couple of the characters had some pretty traumatic experiences, and the film tries to dig into that and dig into kind of the root causes of that and how they might be able to overcome some of those experiences, or at least the journey that it takes to overcome those experiences. So that being said, things I didn't love as much. The first and kind of most prominent for me is there were some audio issues in this movie. I don't know if it was just my screener or what, but there were definitely some scenes where like the audio was really, really quiet, especially for some of the whisper scenes. It seems like for the whisper scenes, I don't know, maybe they didn't specifically record these later or whatnot, but it was very tough to hear. They were really quiet, they were a little muffled, and some of these were important aspects of the film. There were also just kind of like audio issues again with leveling, like sometimes some lines would be louder than the others. And there were also random aspects where you have background noise, but not like your traditional movie background noise that kind of like sets the stage, like strange background noise that seemed to be part of the original film that wasn't cleaned up afterwards. So I think there was one scene where these people were talking in the park, and it's like some kid just like screams right in front of the camera a couple times, and it was distracting. It was like I wasn't sure if like something was going on, or there were other scenes where like there's sirens and things that you can hear in the background, but they don't really contribute much to the overall scene at that point. So it just becomes very distracting. It's tough when there's a film that relies so much on dialogue and so much on conversation, when I couldn't hear some of the conversation that was happening, or it was being distracted because of how the conversation was evolving. The second thing I didn't love, and kind of on a related note, is I thought some delivery issues, like some characters, their emotions kind of fluctuated a little bit, or there were some scenes where there were two people talking and there were odd pauses, or like there wasn't a ton of emotion when they were saying the things that they were saying. There was one scene specifically where some characters were in a car and it was like filming them in the car, and there were just like awkward pauses between some of the scenes, like not like a traditional movie dialogue where it's happening fairly quickly and fluidly. They were like, someone would say something, there would be a pause, someone would say something, and it just kind of felt like, I don't know, awkward to watch. And also it really dragged that scene out when it could have been a much tighter experience. There were also some scenes where some of the conversation between Liam and Hannah, Liam goes through some really big shifts very quickly, and it made it kind of tough to take his character seriously. I don't know if that was the point of it or if that was just how they played the scene, but to me, it was really distracting. The third thing I didn't love as much is there's some confusing aspects to the story. I think this was maybe by design, but like there are flashbacks that happen in the movie that you don't necessarily know that they're flashbacks, or at least scenes from other parts of the film. It starts off with a few like disjointed scenes, and I didn't really know what to take of it. I just kind of like wrote down aspects of it. And then later it becomes clear what those were, but when you were given the original context, it was tough to really see what was going on. And there are some flashback scenes in the film that aren't necessarily kind of designated as flashbacks. You don't really understand that they're flashbacks until later when you get more of the overall story. And there is a very kind of big flashback where it goes back like, I don't know, I think 30 years, but the characters didn't de-age for that, or they didn't cast someone else for those scenes. And so it is a little strange when you've got like a scene that goes back 30 years, but you've got the same actors looking the same, just in a different scenario. I assume that was for budget or just for timing purposes, but again, it made those scenes a little more confusing and tough to kind of take them seriously. And the last thing I didn't love is, I don't know, I feel like this story wasn't complex enough. Like when it boils down to it, it is essentially one big dinner event with a little bit of backstory here and there. And I feel like they could have fleshed it out a little more, maybe had some longer backstory, maybe really delve deeper into some of the trauma that these characters had. It comes up throughout the night and it comes up in like conversation and in some flashbacks, but I feel like we didn't get like a full picture, I guess, of this overall story. I wish that they would have, I don't know, really kind of fleshed it out more, I guess, which is not a bad thing. If I wanted more, then that's not necessarily a bad thing. But for me, it just felt like this film didn't really delve deep enough into it to really kind of hook me. So that being said, Sapiosexual is coming to digital on May 16th, 2023. I'm going to go into the kind of ending and the story. So if you don't want to know what happened in this movie, and there is a twist at the end, so you might not want to, I would turn it off now, but maybe you've already seen it or you just kind of want to know the story, then we can keep going. But just be warned, there will be spoilers. So, like I said, in Sapiosexual, you got Hannah and Liam. They are in a relationship, but they are going through, like, I guess, a breakup. I mean, I guess they're still kind of together, but they're going to, I guess, proceed as friends. They're going to no longer be in a relationship. It's called an uncoupling ceremony in the synopsis. But for this night, Liam invites an old student of his named Freddie, who is this kind of much younger person that he previously had a relationship with when that person was in college. Liam is a professor, and so he seems to kind of use his professor status to, I guess, prey on young, impressionable people. And so Freddie is someone that he had a relationship with before and comes to this dinner party to, I guess, help celebrate their overall uncoupling. But during the night, you can tell that there is maybe something between Freddie and Hannah. They seem to be very familiar with each other. You can't tell if that's just attraction or if they know each other, but there is something between them. And Liam starts to notice this, but you also get a sense that there might be some sort of overall plot. Hannah seems to have these special chocolates that she got that she tells Freddie not to eat at all. And she gives them specific to Liam because they're his favorite. It seems like sometimes Hannah slips things into Liam's drink throughout the night. So during the night, we also get the definition of what a sapiosexual is. I was curious what that was. It is a person that's attracted to another person for intellectual stimulation. So for their intellect, for the conversations that they have, that is what a sapiosexual is. I do kind of wish that they had really explored that because it feels like that was some of the kind of basis, but I didn't really kind of get the sense that that was the attraction between all of these people. So that is kind of the genesis of this film, although the film more deals with like narcissistic tendencies than a attraction for intellect. It seems like that is originally what Freddie was attracted to Liam for, was for his intellect and maybe to kind of like help him get a leg up in the industry. And it seems like Hannah was attracted to Liam probably for his intellect, but also because he was like paying attention to her and because it would make her own parents it would make them very upset to find out that this was happening. But you find out more during the dinner party. One thing leads to another, and Liam, on the influence of drugs, starts dancing and starts kind of directing what happens in the party. And eventually the three of them have a threesome. They have this kind of like moment, but during this time, it is interesting because you can tell that Freddie and Hannah are very into each other, and Liam appears to be kind of a third wheel. But during some of the scenes, a kind of photographer sneaks in and takes a picture. And it's really a weird scene because the photographer looks, I don't know, kind of like a Beastie Boy. Like they have like a wig and sunglasses and a hat on, and it looks like kind of like a fake spy that kind of like sneaks into the bedroom from the side and like takes a picture. And Liam's like, "Wait, I saw someone." They're like, "What are you talking about, Liam? Like, no one was there. It's like, no, I saw someone. They took a picture. It's like, oh, you're being crazy. It's a very weird scene. I wish it would have been done a little more sinisterly or maybe like covertly. It just felt kind of out of place. So after the whole experience that night, Freddie and Hannah are clearly like, they have something going on. Like they're smiling, they're joking, they're talking about how like they're never gonna do this again. Like they had to just get through this one time. And you find out why later. The next day, you find out that Freddie knows Hannah from after her time with Liam. So Liam kind of preyed on Freddie when he was a young university student. Liam also preyed on Hannah when she was young. When they started their relationship when she was 17, he was much older, I think like 35 or 30 or something like that. That kind of broke both Hannah and Freddie. Like that relationship really messed them up. Hannah had to go to a lot of therapy and decided that she wanted to become a therapist because of that, because she had to go through so much therapy to really kind of build herself up after that relationship. Freddie, after his relationship with Liam, also has to go to therapy, and that's where he met Hannah. Hannah was his therapist. When they were talking about what was going on, she realized that his kind of breakup, the person that was kind of causing this torment was Liam, and that caused them to instantly connect, and then they started to have a relationship. And you find out that they kind of had this plan to put Liam into this situation, take these pictures, and then blackmail him to give up all of his assets to them because Liam's wife is loaded and their relationship has kind of deteriorated, but he is not going to leave her because he needs her support. So when they take these pictures of Liam having a tryst with both Freddie and Hannah, that would not be good for his wife to get. So they use those pictures to blackmail him to sign over like all of his assets. It's interesting because this is like, sign this over, and he's like, okay, and he just like signs it. You'd think that there would be, I don't know, a bigger scene or some sort of, I don't know, maybe they would go to the bank and have him like pull out money, or like who knows. But he just kind of signs it over, and that's that. I guess they're going to split the money and like never talk to Liam again. So that happens. Freddie and Hannah leave. They drive to the city. They kind of have dinner together. This is where that car scene is, where it's kind of awkward, like awkward timing, awkward angles, like essentially a phone that seems like it's on the dashboard, so it's looking up at them. It's a weird looking scene, and again, like the kind of audio, the dialogue doesn't feel as natural as I wish it could be. But they have a nice dinner. But then Hannah like doesn't go back with Freddie. She leaves. And this is where the twist happens. She goes to see someone else. So Hannah goes to see another person who we find out is Nancy, Liam's wife. Now, Liam said that Nancy was like on her deathbed and that she was like, you know, he wasn't going to leave her because she was so sick and whatever. She appears to be pretty healthy because she appears to have a healthy relationship with Hannah. So I guess the overall twist is maybe, so it seems like maybe Nancy wanted to make Liam hurt, maybe because of all the stuff he's been doing. He clearly has not been faithful to her for the entire time. So she I guess devised this plan to get his assets out of him through Hannah and Freddie. And that was the overall plot. Like Nancy was the ringleader because Nancy and Hannah seemed to have a relationship. I don't know, maybe this would then let her break up with him, and she would have leverage so that he wouldn't try to get all of her stuff. I don't really know. It doesn't really kind of explain what happens. At the end, you see that Hannah and Nancy kind of like hook up, they have a relationship, and then they like take a shower, and that's it. That's the overall story. So you're kind of left to draw your own conclusions of what happened, like if Nancy was involved in this overall plot, which I think she probably must have been. And if then she like got Hannah to do this and Hannah recruited Freddie, who knows? It seems like there's more going on to this. And that's also maybe something I would have liked to see fleshed out in this overall film. But that is Sapiosexual. It comes to digital on May 16th, 2023. Like I said, I think you should probably pass on it. It feels like a little bit too rough of a film for me, but you know, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you'll like it more. Maybe you'll get more out of it than I will. So if you check it out, let me know what your thoughts are. Let me know if I'm right. Let me know if I'm wrong. And thanks so much for watching. If you liked this review, please like and subscribe to this channel. It helps me out a lot. Make sure all my new content goes straight to you. Thank you.